what are the more specifics of this? So I understand you're trying to get them excited, but let's say the initial contract. So you're out of research, you've got a program, you got to scale, you got to do some route scouting, you got to find out how to make it. You got to scale it up. You got to analyze it. You got to run some more assays, et cetera, et cetera. Tell the readers, for example, what would be the scope of services for an initial CDMO contract to develop a program? I know that's broad. There's all different kinds of programs, but maybe give some of those details.
All right. Well, we'll only focus on a biologic, right? So recombinant protein. We'll go there. So if you have your research master cell bank, you just transfer it over to them, right? Because you're at the bench. So I'll give you a real example. We were using a laboratory scale upstream purification and uh, uh, yeah, I guess purification is the best way to put it. And we found a CDMO that was willing to take that challenge on because it was very inefficient. But we needed the material very quickly for a tox study. So that's a lot of work, right, for them because they're used to, things big and more efficient. So we had to get them excited by the potential saying, look, if you do this for us here, we'll let you rederive the master cell bank, rederive it so we don't need that certain reagent and that limitation. And then we'd ask you to basically develop that process for us. And more importantly, I would like you to document everything, every change you think you're making and why, so you can be the base of our patents. And even though we own the patents, obviously, those the people working in a lab are excited because they're part of developing something that's novel. And I usually throw that in there with every one of my agreements. And those bench workers are taking such careful notes. The patent application drafting process is trivial because there's more information that I need. So, I need something now. I'll give you something later. But also engaging them and treating them as employees and almost like you want to help develop them. They appreciate that because otherwise they're just doing their job in their little bubble. They get to go outside their bubble. And then there's one level above that is the management. So you have a different discussion with management about the economics and whatnot. And that usually proceeds in a reasonably easy fashion. But that's how I would do things, something early like that. I need this done now, but let's start working on this. And CDOs are very willing to do that and to expand their knowledge base. And because if they have success with you, they can advertise that.
Mm-hmm. Did any of that future work incentive get put into the original scope of work contract?
Some of it did, and some of it was a handshake. I would say, to be honest with you, most of it was a handshake. Good faith. I mean, my CDMO selection process, obviously people you work with and whatnot, but my Rolodex, I call, if I'm going into say vaccines, I've not worked much in vaccines. I know people who have. So I call them, who do you think? And it's usually word of mouth. And they do the same. Once I have contact them, they're all of a sudden I see my LinkedIn thing popped in, and everyone's checking me out because they're checking to see if I'm credible as well. And when I'm bidding out for something, I usually try for 4 bids. I will go visit 4 of them, and it's a connection that has to work. I've got to feel good about them working with me. I got to feel there's good chemistry, no pun intended, and usually that's what wins. Because listen, nothing's going to go well. There's always something going to go wrong. And that's where you have to rely on your CDMO to be your technical expertise. Otherwise, you're like a Shire or a Pfizer or whatever, you've got your internal. But if you're a virtual company like I've been used to working with, I can't hire every expert I need. I'm relying on them. And so I've got to feel that I can trust them. I mean, I've had 2 very good bids and it came down to who I felt better about.